Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Troy Charles. Here are your top stories. The number of active cases in the Thunder Bay District has dropped for the first time in over 2 weeks, as public health authorities reported today 26 new cases and 40 previous cases now resolved. Of the 26 cases reported, 23 involved individuals in the Thunder Bay area, while 3 were in First Nations. The active case count now sits at 335. 19 of the cases were considered a result of close contact with a previously identified case, and 1 was related to an outbreak at the Musselwhite mine. 4 had no known exposure, and an exposure category for the other 2 was still pending. There was 1 new active case in hospital, marking a total of 23 district residents hospitalized. 7 of those are in the intensive care unit. And following up with the Musselwhite mine, where the latest case is the 4th to appear at the mine, 500 kilometers north of Thunder Bay. The mine continues to operate under heightened protocols. Flights to and from the mine site, however, have been suspended pending the completion of surveillance tests. The Thai Kitchen restaurant has temporarily closed after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. Most of the restaurant staff, including all supervisors and owners, are isolating after the exposure to the employee who began experiencing symptoms on shift Tuesday. The staff member tested positive later that night. The restaurant was offering only pickup and delivery service at the time. Its dining room has stayed closed since the pandemic began. The risk to customers was deemed very low by the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. The provincial government announced Friday it was using the so-called emergency brake to return the Thunder Bay District Health Unit to the grey lockdown as of Monday. As a result, the City of Thunder Bay will temporarily close dozens of facilities and programs. Among the facilities closing are the Canada Games Complex, Churchill Pool, all hockey arenas, older adult centres, all community centres, the Baggage Art Centre, and the Water Garden Pavilion. Public transit will continue to operate with restrictions, and the city's outdoor rinks and trails will also remain open with guidelines for safe use. Residents can find the latest updates on municipal services and other COVID-19 information at the city's website. COVID-19 outbreak has been declared at the Rainy Crest long-term care home in Fort Frances after 2 staff members tested positive. All residents of the 164-bed home will be tested immediately. That's from Riverside Healthcare, which operates the facility. All willing and eligible residents of the home have been vaccinated. Riverside Healthcare was not immediately able to specify what percentage of residents that included, though a representative said it would constitute at least a majority. The City of Dryden has issued a boil water advisory after electricity issues caused a temporary loss of pressure at its water treatment plant. The plant's chief operator, William Aho, says the advisory is not expected to lift until at least Monday afternoon. He says the systems are fully operational, but they are waiting on water quality tests to be completed. The cause of the temporary failure of the plant's pumps remains unknown, but Aho believes it was related to a voltage issue. And the City of Dryden is looking to increase the amount of land available for development in the community, hopefully by performing a land swap with the province. Mayor Greg Wilson says the city has been eyeing up a piece of property that once served as a floatplane base on Wabigoon Lake for the Ministry of Natural Resources. The idea is for the city to trade other land that is closer to provincially owned assets and in turn acquire waterfront property. Talks have been ongoing since 2016, but some miscommunications have prevented the deal from moving forward, as a deal cannot be made between the city and the MNR and instead must be made with the Ministry of Infrastructure. Wilson says there are several major projects in the region that require developed land in the city to accommodate those who are working on such projects.
There's a lot of pent-up demand, and I think what you're seeing right now in Dryden is there's not a lot of houses available, for example. They're being snapped up, and also commercial buildings are being snapped up, the ones that have been for sale. So it's really a seller's market, and we need to add to our supply of suitable building space, whether it's for residential or commercial or industrial.
Wilson adds the lack of available land is an issue for several communities in the region. A spokesperson for the MNR says currently buildings on the property are used for storage. However, they did not mention any specific plans for the future of the site. It's been a little more than 13 months since a fire forced the closure of a renowned Kenora hotel. And while COVID-19 has kept the tourism sector in the community quiet, the city's mayor believes the Clarion Lakeside Inn will play a big role for the future of tourism. The fire broke out on the afternoon of January 17, 2020, torching a vehicle and trailer in the parking lot and forcing firefighters onto the ice to battle the flames underneath the hotel. Unfortunately, most of the damage was related to smoke, but the hotel has been shuttered ever since. Management at Clarion Inn have confirmed that phase 1 of the repairs has been completed. However, the owner is still working with insurance providers, which has stymied construction. Kenora Mayor Dan Reynard says the Clarion, which is the city's biggest hotel and hosts major events, will be an integral part of Kenora's post-COVID tourism recovery.
Feature of our waterfront, and you can imagine what the hit's been to our hospitality tax with that being out of service for a year. And so the reality is we're gonna be reopened for business at some point here, and Clarion will play a real big part of bringing tourism back to Kenora.
Hotel management say they still do not know what caused the fire. When the pandemic first hit, a local electronic dance music artist found herself back in Thunder Bay, the city she grew up in. With an album to finish, Sydney Blue reconnected with her hometown and is now ready to release that album, which has been 2 years in the making. Sydney Blue left Thunder Bay after high school, and during her time attending college in Ottawa, she fell in love with dance music. In the year 2000, she bought her first turntables and moved to Toronto. Over the next decade, she would make a name for herself as a DJ and producer, getting signed to record labels and performing at iconic nightclubs around the world. This YouTube video of a DJ set in Los Angeles has garnered over 350,000 views.
I love watching the audience feed off of what I'm doing. It's why I do it. I live for it. I love playing in front of people, especially electronic music. It's such a high energy sound. It's such a high energy type of music that I absolutely feed off of the crowd that's in front of me. So yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. I miss it.
The pandemic flipped Blue's profession upside down. Traveling the world and performing for her fans was turned into live streaming DJ sets. Many were performed here in Thunder Bay at Atmos Club, but one special stream was done on a boat in Toronto with the skyline as her backdrop. In 2019, Blue moved to Berlin, Germany to immerse herself in one of the most highly regarded dance music scenes in the world. In Berlin, she was making great progress on her new album, and then the pandemic struck. Suddenly, she found herself on a flight back to Thunder Bay, the city she grew up in.
I was almost finished the album, but I still had another 3 or 4 songs to write. So then I made a makeshift studio in my old high school bedroom, basically. I shipped all of my equipment up from Toronto, and I finished the album here in Thunder Bay.
Now, with her new album called Conviction, set to release on March 12th on all streaming platforms, Blue is releasing the first single titled Monologue. Blue says she can't wait for her fans to hear the new music, which, thanks to the pandemic, was inspired by her hometown. Skiers hit the slopes today at Loch Lomond and Mount Baldy, as many have been waiting to get out and be active. Luckily for those who enjoy snowboarding or skiing, they won't be affected by our region returning to lockdown starting on Monday. Kayla Karim has the story.
The hills will remain in operation as our province enters the lockdown or gray zone on Monday, and ski hill owners and managers at Loch Lomond and Mount Baldy are preparing to see larger turnouts. Manager at Loch Lomond, Alicia Cameron, says on average they have been busier than normal and are happy to be a safe and healthy outlet for community members.
So since we were able to open up after the province-wide shutdown, the community has been coming out in numbers. It's been a little bit busier than what we're usually used to over weekends. I think that mostly is attributed to the fact that young families don't have a lot of options right now as to recreation for their kids.
Meanwhile, owner of Mount Baldy, Jason Cardis, says it has been difficult to constantly adapt to the ongoing changes through the pandemic. But he says he isn't worried about crowds getting too big because they have applied all of the necessary health precautions to ensure public safety.
Right now, come Monday, the chalet will be closed, so literally everybody will be on our 300 acres. So lift lines would be the one that you'd want, and we actually have hired people to actually control that. The face masks are on. Always have been since November, since we've opened, and so we feel that it's a very safe place to be. Honestly, our magic carpet that we have, you physically don't actually touch a thing. You're 20 feet apart. So at the end of the day, we really do feel that this is a very safe place to be.
The members from each ski hill say that they have been experiencing higher than normal volumes, but they are happy to see the community coming out and following the rules. Kayla Karim, TBT News.
If isn't our good friend Avery McRae, who might have had a little skiing himself on Tuesday at Loch.
That is correct. You are not wrong when you say that.
Conditions were good.
Conditions were absolutely gorgeous. I was skiing in a sweater, for crying out loud. It was so nice out.
Love it. And we got the Scotties still in the round robin play. That's what's coming up for you.
That's what's coming up. We got no T-Bay-Tel Major League, but we've always got the Scotties. We'll give you those highlights when we return.